Tonight, Portland's planning board is expected to vote on a plan to build a 200-bed emergency homeless shelter on Riverside Street. News Center Maine's Rosalind Flaherty is at the site where the shelter could be built. And Ross, what does this vote mean for the project?
Cindy, this vote will set the project to build a shelter here into motion. Now, the shelter is expected to replace the one on Oxford Street, but it has been met with some resistance from people in the community. This is where a new 200-bed emergency homeless shelter could be built if the Portland Planning Board votes in favor of plans Tuesday.
What we're looking at is whether or not the application meets the standards as they currently stand.
Brandon Mazur is the chair of the Portland Planning Board. He says the developer's application will go before the board, where members will vote whether or not the application meets requirements like building height requirements and landscaping requirements. He says the developer also needs to provide a management plan. The new shelter on Riverside Street is expected to have a soup kitchen as well as a medical clinic. Before the vote, there will be public comment on the project.
And that's what our process is here for, to hear from the public. We have had 2 workshops thus far to try to hammer out as many of the issues ahead of time. That's what our workshop process is for, is for the board to get a good sense of the project.
The main argument from opponents is that the Riverside Street location is too far away from the city.
A lot of the services are downtown Portland, which is why historically a lot of our neighbors experiencing homelessness have been down here. But having an institution and a mega shelter on the outskirts of town is just not the way to go about it.
There's also concern 200 beds is too many, but the city has already approved that number. So in response, opponents, including State Representative Grayson Lookner, want any future shelters to be smaller.
I think the planning board really needs to heed the will of the voters of the city of Portland.
In April, the group Small Shelters for Portland submitted a petition with more than 1,700 signatures to the city council for a ballot initiative. It would require all new shelters to operate 24 hours a day and would limit the size of new shelters to 50 beds.
It's a scattered site model, and it's just better for community integration.
Now, there will be a question about the smaller shelters on the ballot this November for Portland voters. As for this 200-bed emergency shelter, the meeting is happening right now, and we will update you on the final vote. Chris.
Roz, thanks so much.